Tesla has a number of pretty gigantic catalysts coming up in 2022. Let's take a look at them real quick. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Normally this would be my live stream, but I'm having trouble live streaming, so I've gone ahead and recorded it with the added benefit that you get a lot of the ums and ahs cut out, like that one that would have been right there, and that one too, and this last one, and we can just move on and keep all the good graphics on screen, get to all the good points, and I will be hanging out in the chat so we can chat. There you go. So, massive thanks to my Patreons who get early access, bonus content, a look under the hood, and help keep the channel running for as little as $1 a month. And there's the 11-year tracker in there and some other trackers coming up, and the 11-year tracker is going to be updated by the end of the month with some pretty different new numbers. It's exciting. Okay. So Brad Ferguson retweeted this interesting post from Tesla Herbert. The newest version of the 2022 Tesla milestones list now includes timeframes. So yeah, let's look at these. Q4, 308,000 vehicles delivered, done. And here's where it gets more fun. Q1, Giga Texas launched. I think that's absolutely doable. I think that's very, very likely to happen. Q1, Giga Berlin launched. Little less certain. There's, we would have said it would have been open 6 months ago, but between construction delays caused by the outbreak, the pandemic, and of course the endless red tape of permitting and whatnot, this has been difficult. But I think Q1 is not crazy. It's just perhaps a little optimistic. Q4 earnings with record revenue. Q1, absolutely agree, that's going to happen. Here's where we start getting a little more speculative. Tesla Insurance expands to greater than 5 states in Q1. Now I know Ohio was on the table for imminent expansion. There was already California and one other. Maybe in Q1. Maybe in Q1. Just how good of an investment this is for Tesla remains to be seen, but I'm confident they know what they're doing and have the right people in charge. Q1, investment grade credit rating. How? Some of the ratings agencies, I think, are a little overly cautious since the massive burns they faced from things like Enron and the housing bubble more generally. But Tesla is still seen as high risk, which is, pardon me, a little bit batty. So I believe that is quite possible in Q1 to see an investment-grade credit rating. If not in Q1, certainly this year, I would be very surprised otherwise. Tesla Energy, Texas live, or one new state? Texas, I thought already went live. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the plant in Texas has their permit, and if they're not already connected to the grid and operating, that will happen very, very soon. He's got that list for Q2. I believe that's very doable and probably has already happened. Q2, Megafactory battery plant in California. Well, they just broke ground on it. I don't know if Q2 is reasonable. Certainly not to get all the equipment in and set up. They do own other property. We found out from the 10K filing, I don't know, a couple months ago. That could be already in use for Megapack assembly. I don't know. I think Q2 might be a little optimistic on that. But again, everything on this list is a catalyst for increased value. Supercharger, all EV, 2 more countries. 2 more countries in Q2. Maybe. I don't think that's as big of a deal. I don't think that's as important to the overall value of the company. Obviously, you want to expand, but I don't think the countries they haven't expanded into yet are not necessarily markets they're super keen to get to. Small markets, I don't think those would necessarily move the price. 4680 in scale production in the second half. Oh, I think that's going to happen in the first half. The jelly roll machines at Giga Texas just keep coming in. I believe the first production line there is already running, and the second production line is about to start production. It's about to start tooling. So I think that's absolutely going to happen, and I think it's going to happen in the first half. Second half, stock split announced. I also think that'll be announced in the first half. But with Elon, you just never know. The advantage to having a stock split is that casual investors have an easier time dollar cost averaging. If the shares are 1,000 or 1,500, you got to save up to buy one. But if they did a 10-for-1 split and they're 150, even lower middle class earners could buy a share a paycheck, quite possibly. And there's fractional trading, there's fractional shares. There's not many places that do that. I know that those places are very well known, but I don't know a lot of investors who have a tremendous amount of faith in Robinhood after the shenanigans they pulled with GameStop. That was, somebody, from what I can see, probably should be in jail over that. Compact, $25,000 car, design reveal. So I'll say again, I don't think it's going to end up being $25,000. I think inflation, since that statement was made until now, has made it such that it's not possible, or even maybe not necessary. Will we see a design in the second half? I just don't know, and I don't think so. I really don't think we're going to see it this year, because they still have to launch the Roadster, the Cybertruck, and the Semi, and the Roadster and Cybertruck do not look like they will be coming out in 2022. I think those need to actually be at least in limited production before the $25,000 car design is revealed. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I just don't think they have enough batteries right now to do that. And by right now, I mean in 2022. I just don't think it's going to happen. Dojo Launch in second half. Oh, I think that's going to happen. And when Dojo launches, Dojo is a computing paradigm shift. It's going to allow them to process information via artificial intelligence in ways that were difficult, if not impossible, before. I believe when that launches, that could be, it might take a few quarters for the market to catch up with it, to wrap their head around it. Like when Dojo Day happened, when AI Day happened, the market didn't react because the market didn't understand. Lay people didn't understand. I watched it. I definitely didn't understand. I must have watched it 3 times and then watched a variety of different channels much smarter than me analyzing it. And now I definitely understand about 15% of it. And I'm not a smart man, but I'm smarter than the analysts on Wall Street. Low bar, I know. Supercharger hotel chain with more than 100 sites. Do you mean that a hotel chain like Red Lion or Hilton or somebody will get a bunch of superchargers? Or do you mean destination chargers? That could happen. I think Tesla has the manufacturing capacity to deliver them should they have customers interested. I think it would be a fantastic way to get more chargers out there with minimal cost, where maybe the hotel is actually paying for them to be put in instead of just letting Tesla put them in. If Tesla's putting them in at their expense, they better be open to the public. And if that's the case, give us free land, and I imagine they would do it. I think that would be a bit helpful. Tesla Semi, more than 25 delivered by the second half. Oh, I think we'll see 25 delivered in the first half. I think we'll see 5 to 15 delivered this month. The question is there enough batteries? And if the 4680s are really piling up in Cato Road, and the factory is coming online in Austin with their own 4680s, we may have enough to get the Semi into production. New GigaFactories announced, 1 or 2 in the second half. I would agree, but I would temper it with saying this may be an announcement of expansion at one of the existing sites. They may say, no new locations, but we're planning phase 2 at Austin, or phase 3 or 4, whatever we're up to now in Shanghai. I think that's very doable. But there could be a new location. I covered that last week, and in a week or two I'm going to cover the second half of the list that you guys recommended. And remember, even though this is just a premiere and not a live stream, I am in the chat. You can find me right there somewhere. Over there, over there. You'll find me. You'll find me. Cybertruck Launch in second half. Now I know this tweet is from this morning rather than this afternoon or evening, so it looks like that may or may not happen. There was a report from Reuters from an author I've never heard of, saying that no, it has been delayed to 2023, but I think he was just piling on from the speculation because of the change in the design studio on the website, which removed references to 2022. I don't believe that that's sufficient to verify when a car is going to be actually in production. And we may hear more on the investor call on the 26th, which I think I will cover live again. Licensing with one legacy original equipment manufacturer. I believe what is being said here is by Tesla Herbert, is that somebody is going to start buying from Tesla their FSD. If that's the assumption for the second half, I would very strongly disagree. I don't think anyone is going to buy it until it reaches at least level 3 or 4. And I don't know if Tesla would even be interested in selling it. And I don't believe Tesla's interested in selling it just as a driver assist, just as an ADAS system. But if you mean licensing something else, like batteries or drivetrain, the motors, I could see that happening. Because the 4680 is the new hotness, but the 2170 that's been out for years now is already significantly better than what most of the competitors are using. And that's the old stuff. Maybe they would license the heating and cooling system, the octavalve. Maybe they would just license out the super bottle, which is the previous generation. Kind of depends on how siloed the manufacturers are. By siloed, it's like there's the drivetrain guys, there's the heating and cooling guys, there's the structural guys. At Tesla, those are all the same people, but at a lot of legacy companies, according to the amazingly brilliant Sandy Monroe, in a lot of companies you just can't integrate these systems because they're different departments, and trying to integrate them would take years to do, if you could do it at all. App Store launch in the second half. Maybe. Seems like a lot of work. The question is it going to affect sales? In the short term, definitely not. Is it going to affect revenue? Less well known? Maybe. Second half, FSD wide release. Do you mean FSD beta or FSD? Because if you say wide release FSD, I noticed you're not saying FSD complete. If you're saying that the system that a lot of drivers currently have will be upgraded to a recent stable version of FSD beta, like maybe 11 or 12 or whatever 2 generations old is at the time, that could very well happen. And if they do that, boy, in terms of affecting the share price, there's a vast amount of uncounted revenue from FSD sales that would immediately hit the books. Money they took in years ago that right now just shows up as a liability, as a debt. It's helped their free cash flow, but it is not profit until you can count it. And part of the FSD money has been counted. I don't think we know how much. My guess would be a third to maybe half, which might be a little optimistic. But if it goes into wide release, even in beta, you could easily take another 5-10% of it in terms of accounting. And that would definitely hit the balance sheet. And you know how Wall Street feels about the balance sheet. Obsessive. Second half, Tesla bot demo. And I don't think it's just going to be Grimes in a spandex bodysuit, but and really I think that's who it was. Who do you think it was? Tesla bot demo. I think that would be incredibly premature. I think in order for the Tesla bot to be remotely viable, it has to have the strengths of Dojo behind it, and Dojo is spoken for the foreseeable future. Until FSD hits at least 4, maybe 5, Dojo's not going to have a whole lot of free time. And the neat thing about Dojo is once it cracks full self-driving, a lot of the lessons learned to get you there are applicable to the robot. Apparently the camera suite is going to be comparable. Some in the front, some on the side, some on the back. It's going to be neat. It's going to be neat. Ride-sharing launch in the second half. I don't know, man. I don't know. Ride-sharing is a mess. It's a mess. And I can tell you that because I am on the road and I am using ride-sharing, and it's just a mess. I don't know if it's something they're ready to get into, but maybe. If I had the option to pay a little bit more and get ride-sharing from a Tesla owner, I would do that. But I don't know. I don't know about second half. I think that will happen a year or 2 out. So I do want to thank @HerbertOng for this fascinating perspective on what could be the future. And it looks like I'm not following Herbert, but I am. I just am not logged in on this computer because I cannot remember my password. So remember, I am still in the comments for at least a few minutes in the chat. If you're watching this later, by all means, leave a comment and I'll check that out. But for the meantime, what did I miss or misunderstand? Leave me all your thoughts, your wisdom, your blind and brilliance. And stay tuned and juicy. And remember that I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots owns the flippity flop. And since we are still chatting, I'm going to kill some time here real quick. Oh, it's an emergency vehicle. I'm going to kill some time real quick and mention there are a lot of patrons on Patreon who I have not yet had an opportunity to thank individually, and I will be doing that. I will get to all of them, I promise. I didn't keep close enough track, so if I thank you twice, thank you twice. And yeah, I think I'll just sit here for a minute. Yeah. You like how every time I touch the table, I wobble? It's a very affordable table. It's priced accordingly. So if you're watching this later, if you want to watch the chat replay, you can. It'll be up. But if you don't want to, you can stop watching now because the video is over. I'm just keeping it running so that I can chat in the chat before it kicks us all out. At any rate, thanks for being here, and, talk to you soon.